I've been into the space of ecom for the past 5 years, sold different products, physical, digital, service-based, and I've been the kind of guy I've had, mentorship from different coaches, I've invested a lot in different programs. And I came across one of your videos, obviously, they do really well. So I came across it and I was curious, for a while I was following you and I said, let me give it a shot. So then I jumped on, and there was one of my Shopify stores, which was, kind of at its peak, I think, with it 60K. And then what
Hmm.
happened during the summer, we've had a massive hit, we were at 30K. And I really, at that point, I thought that it's not going to work anymore. Probably I've implemented all the strategies, there's nothing left, and I'm the guy who thinks he knows everything. And, so when I came across your content, I said, let's give it a shot. And we jumped on a call and things have been different, I must say, after I've joined. And
Yeah, change the growth curve.
absolutely. And it's just brilliant how one advice can double your whole store.
Yeah,
Literally, that was my experience, right? Because with the advice you just gave me, I mean, we just added card drawer and my AOV has doubled,
right.
right? So let's say if someone was doing 200K a month,
What could
they just
happen?
add something small and they can just do 400K,
Yeah,
600K, that little change. And it's just been awesome. We've doubled the AOV from $20 to 40. Conversion rate has gone up from 1% to 3%. And in general, I've hit all-time high in summer. And bear in
wow.
mind, summer is the worst month for e-commerce, especially for what I do. We have hit all-time high in summer. And what's even better than that is that your advices are recurring, meaning that I'm still having the results we
Yes,
implemented months ago, and it's just going. We have the same AOV. AOV is high, conversion rate is high, and it's just been brilliant.
I love it. Yeah, AOVs are like the craziest thing because most people underestimate it, and it's like one thing that helps profit margins. It helps, conversion rate. It can also boost the amount of products people buy from a store. And like little things like bundles that people forget to implement. Like if you have multiple products in your store, you should be bundling items together because people will go and buy those higher SKUs. Same thing with like
100%.
the cart. Like sometimes people will take them off to a different cart page, and it's like you could just open it in a drawer, slide cart, check out much more intuitively, and the conversion rates start to explode from it. So like
100%.
stores miss out on little opportunities like that all the time. But a lot of cases, it's like, people think Facebook ads, okay, I have the Shopify product, here's my offer, scale, right? But there's little tweaks and stuff you can do throughout the funnel and even on other, pages that'll, really turn around numbers or even scale them up further.
100%. And I think we as, as owners of e-com stores, we have limiting beliefs. So we think that, hey, it's just the ads we need to fix. The store is optimized, it looks fine, but to you it looks fine. But then someone who's an
Yes.
expert, when they come in, they're like, hey, this needs to change, that needs to change. And in the beginning, it would not make sense to you. But once you actually implement it, you see it just doubles your revenue for free, basically, without touching the ads. So that's just a huge. And by the way, I didn't even talk about the ads yet of what we did on the ads,
Yeah, we
right?
love we love the levers. We love the levers to
Yeah.
pull.
So with the product that I was selling, obviously I was mainly focused on image ads. And I thought with the niche I am, Chase probably wouldn't be able to help with the ads. My niche, it's very difficult. But you did it, man, and you just gave me a swipe file of really, ads that you think are gonna work, and you really asked me to duplicate them, and I kind of took them as inspiration and did them, and boom, we've just found, a huge ocean of new audience.
Yes.
And I think we're still to this day are generating ads based on what you showed us, right? We're having similar ads, which are still crushing it.
I love it.
And I think with the ads, because a lot of people they find their winning ads, then they stick within that. But there's a huge ocean of audience that you have never targeted, and you're never gonna know unless you test or
Mhm.
someone knows how ads work, like an expert like yourself who work with different brands, with different, people, different pockets of audiences. And I think that's where you actually come in and, really help me with ads as well.
I love that. Yeah. I mean, if we talk about like creative formats, right? So like some people will just spin up a Facebook ad, but then there's pillars to content that a lot of people could expand out. for content ideas. Like you can have a founder story, you can have the single image, you can have a review, testimonial based ad. These are all formats that have legs underneath each of them. It could be a Google review, it could be a Trustpilot review, it could be, a Shopify review that you have combined with your product image. So there's lots of different formats even under each pillar of content you can do. And if you expand that out and get a lot more creative volume going, now you're appealing to different audiences because some people care about the, testimonial, other people care about the story, other people just care about the educational piece of like, what does this do or how can I learn this or the more logical thinking. So you want to have like emotional based ads, you want to have all these different formats because you'll hit different audiences and can handle a lot more scale, even in out of season stores where you can actually bring things back to where they used to be and actually add some consistency. So like creatives are like the new strategy for sure is like understanding what formats to do.
That's right, 100%. Yeah.
And a big thing that you were doing before is like you have a lot of countries you go after, right? A lot of people haven't explored that or done anything there. Like that was a strategy you kind of already, had on lock with, scale. And you're also doing something where I saw these add to carts. I'm like, man, there's so many add to carts here. But this was like opting people in. So that way you had add to cart data to then, uses retargeting and also helps the algorithm and kind of like it's almost like a little growth hack for CPMs because
Yeah.
Facebook says, man, look at all these add to carts and then CPMs go down.
Yeah,
Right.
that's
So,
right.
so
And
what
yeah.
was that strategy that you had going initially before we started speaking?
So initially with the ads, I've had so many campaigns, right? It was super confusing. Tons that I had, like, I think 10 campaigns within each ad campaign. I had like 10, 20 ad sets, and I think you came in, you're like, hey, we're turning them off. I said, no, we cannot turn them off. This is doing well, you know? But it's kind of a mindset thing because we turned them off, we consolidated them to like three
Uh-huh.
campaigns, and they're performing even better now.
Right.
Initially, we were doing worldwide, but what we've done is because I've tested myself alone, just United States or just UK didn't perform well. But when you came in, you're like, hey, let's focus on these smaller countries first. So we've put together a list of countries that perform best for me, and then with the help of creatives, we were able to do really good on basically those, seven main countries that I target. So I think, yeah, in general, it's for me, it's made it much easier to handle. There's way more campaigns, and I've just understood a system where I can, insert creatives easily because before I was confused. How am I supposed to, should I just create duplicate campaigns? Should I create a new campaign? Now I have a system where, I
Yep.
know then Advantage Plus, we can have flexible ads, we can put loads of creatives and flexible. We can have five text, five primary text, five headlines, five descriptions, and what's this going to do? It's going to create so many iterations,
Yes.
that over time you cannot lose,
Right.
right? And I think, yeah, we've made so many changes, but what's even better is we've created a system that I can follow, right? I
100%
know what
agree.
to do now. Yeah.
Yeah, some people burn their eyes out just like managing so many campaigns, audiences, adjusting budgets everywhere. And it's like, man, looking at some of those campaigns, it's like that is so much work having to
Yeah.
go through all that. But I mean, if you
I mean, I used
streamline
to,
creative upload, and then have your dedicated pools, it's much easier to just know what you're doing.
yeah. I mean, I used to scale. So this is how I would scale. I'll just duplicate and increase budget, right? But then with your strategies, we just increase it by 20% every single day, which seems to
Uh-huh.
work. I used to think $30 a day, that's gonna take so long for us to increase the budget. But then time after time, when you realize you've already reached like 2,000, 3,000 on a single campaign, in less than a month.
It happens fast. Yeah, it compounds extremely quickly. So you can get a
Yeah.
lot of scale out of it. And how hard is it to scale? Like when you're scaling Facebook ads, is it hard? What are the
I used
bottlenecks?
the issue with me was previously, I would increase the budget and then my CPM would rise and then profits would drop, right? And that was my biggest CPA would rise as well, of course. That was the biggest issue. And I used to think it's just the ads we need to fix. But in reality, it was on the Shopify level, on the website level.
Hmm.
So us just doubling the AOV with just a click of a button has opened a massive room for me to increase the budgets on those campaigns, and scale up that way. And of course, then increasing the conversion rate helped, and at the same time, creating new creatives, video ads that we worked on. they've just opened the room, because I think a lot of people face this, that the moment they increase the budget, they think
Mm,
scaling is just increasing the budget,
yes.
right? But the moment you increase the budget, CPA goes up, CPM goes up, and
Yes.
your profits drop, right?
That is
So
the most valuable point you just mentioned. People think scaling in a lot of cases, in almost all cases that I recognize, is just by increasing budget. That is one method to scaling. But when people think about scaling, it's always related to budget. But what you just mentioned is the actual like key to the whole unlock. It's like if you look at everything out, from a bird's eye view, just by doubling AOVs, your ads perform, twice as good. You're getting better ROAS. And what happens then? You can actually increase spend, right? But you've already scaled up in a way, technically, without even doing anything on your ads. Just because performance is doubled, you're making more money because of it, right? That is
absolutely.
in itself scaling, increasing conversion rates in itself scaling. Those are things that people just like, miss time and time and again. And they get too excited, scale up too quickly, everything breaks.
Yeah. And you know what? It makes me sad. I've lost over $700,000 not knowing that
Wow.
if I had implemented what she told me from the day I started this Shopify store, I would have made an extra
Mm,
$700,000, an extra just on site, you
opportunity
know?
cost.
And I
Crazy.
think it's very important what you don't know costs you money,
Yeah,
right?
I agree. I 100% agree. It's
Yeah.
always it's always looking like back. It's like, man, if I just known this, I would have done
Yeah.
that sooner. I think about it all the time. I'm like, man, if I was in 2016, I would have spent more on ads. In 2018, I would have spent more on ads. In 2020, I was like, man, that was right when COVID was happening. I should have spent more on ads. And then even now, I'm like, man, should I spend more? Like, what's going to happen in a few years where it's like CPMs just get higher and higher every year? It gets more competitive, and it's like everybody always looks back and wish they'd done something differently. But it's always a knowledge thing in committing. If something's going well, you should always, people got to push and like break the beliefs of like, if it's good, let's go heavy.
Yeah, and that's why it's very important to have coaches and mentors who know better than us,
A
right?
hundred
That's
percent. You need somebody who's been there, done that, and can recognize it. That's huge.
100%.
And like, what is the one thing people need to know about like starting a Shopify coming from somebody who's done multiple stores, ha has spent a lot of money on ads, has an award in the background here. Like, what are some
Yeah,
key factors?
yeah, here's my nice award. So
There
I
we
should get
go.
one more as well, yeah.
Number two.
Yeah, number two is on the way. Yeah. So, I think it's very important to have your Shopify really optimized, before you launch it. Have your bundles in place, ensure that your store is optimized, themes are good, and it's a store that people when they enter your site, it's branded.
Mm,
It looks scammy. It's very important to focus on these points. Make sure you have descriptions, your product images, very important. They have to be
super.
real images and description information. You want to have lots of carousel pains and gains. Ensure all information is in place because there's lots of e-commerce is just growing day by day, and then customers are getting skeptical about different,
Mm,
sites. We
very.
have a lot of scams happening. So you want to make sure your store really looks branded, right? You want to make sure images are good, description is good, and you really touch that pain point of the customer, on your store, and ensure you have bundles, and just to ensure your conversion rate is up, your AOV is up. I think it's just these are key important pieces to have on your Shopify store when you're starting out.
Yes. So spending a lot more time planning, executing, getting it right. So that way, when you do launch, you're not looking at losing money. You can actually have a good base layer for scaling. I couldn't agree more. I mean, that's fantastic advice. And then for Facebook ads, like, when you're spending lower budgets, you can get away with smaller, volumes of creative. But what does it look like whenever you're going to $1,000, $2,000 days? Like, what's the creative difference?
It's a game of creatives in terms of volume at that
Lots of
point. Like
volume.
you need to test more volume, right? And I think it's very important to test different pockets, meaning that instead of just focusing on one angle that your product can solve the problem, you need to focus on different angles, right? And what different ways can what you offer solve that problem? Because a lot of people just focus on one thing and create different iterations on that one thing. But there's a whole ocean, you're missing out, a whole ocean of audiences. That's why it's a game of volume. You need to test and pump. I mean, in our case, we do 5 creatives a day, right? We used to do less than one, and we used to think it was fine. But
Yeah.
it's a game of volume with the creatives at that point, and to ensure you have maybe you're working with different UGC creators, maybe you do the creatives yourselves, but it's just a game of pumping more and more creatives.
Yes. Yeah.
It's
So
very
having a good
important.
system for that is super important. I was working with somebody that is an online coach in the space, and they're spending 3 to 500K months. And they're like, hey, we're struggling with getting scale out of this. Like, we're trying to push more spin, but it's like breaking. And I go and look, and they have like 50 creatives. And I'm like, y'all have 50 creatives for 300 to $500,000 in spin? And they're like, yeah, it's a lot. And I was like, it's a lot? And they're like, it is. And I was like, we need like 200 to 300 more this week. And they're like, what? I was like, y'all
Yeah.
are so under volume. And they launched 50 new creatives every week for 4 weeks straight, and their cost per purchase went from 76 all the way down to 30 in just a
Wow.
month at
Wow.
300 to 500,000 in that amount of spend monthly. And like that literally can take a store from doing 1.8 mil to literally 2.6 mil just by having more creative volume. You know how much it is to
Wow.
invest in those creatives for them? It's not that much more money. But some people are like, let's just put more on it and we'll get the ROIs later. It's like, could have spent a few
Yeah.
thousand bucks, got the creatives, and boom, all of it sold.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that the volume with creatives opens a massive because a lot of people are stuck, and I think why they're stuck is because they're not generating enough creatives.
Mm. And then
Unlock.
as your store grows and it starts to perform and you're looking at the data and you start to think, hey, these products are growing well. Now you're thinking about new product lines, new angles and ideas. What can this market, also buy that's, related in category, but we can sell an additional. So how do you think about those things?
That's a very important thing you mentioned because once you're doing very well with one product, you'd want to make sure you innovate,
Mm,
innovate more stuff, more stuff around the main product. Because what you're doing is increasing AOV, and then a huge, huge, huge part is your emails, right? You've got a
yes.
massive list of people in your email list. They are willing to hand you their credit cards for you to give them the next product. Your first product was so good that they want the next one, and they want the third one and fourth one. And I think it's very important to have an extra product. It can literally double your revenue in a month or triple your revenue, and unlocks a huge door. And I think every store should have new launches every couple of months, new
Yes.
launches, new products. I think it's an important point.
Yep. Emails are huge. Most people highly underutilize their list. Like, you paid for those emails. Send it out to the list because it costs you no money. You're just paying the what, $200 software fee a month just to
Yeah.
keep all the emails there. It's like, man, I'd be hitting emails 3, 4, 5 times a week because those are people who've opted in. They're looking for information. You can educate, give, product examples. Hey, here's a new launch. Drops is a big strategy, big spike days. You can do drops. There's so many things that opens up a whole nother door of avenues for scaling, which can S curve people to 100, 300K months. It's very insane. There's always so many levels for this stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who are afraid to email their customers. You're like they might unsubscribe, but if they would unsubscribe, they were not your people in the first place, right? And I think you really need to email them 3 times, 5 times a week,
Yes.
educate them about your products, as you've taught me to have twice of education, one-time offer, and which is doing very well and generating good money. So. I think it's I know it's like free money basically.
Yeah.
Email is like free money, no ads. So
I've had a
yeah, he's
client that had 100K. He passed like 100K email list. And I go, man, that's amazing. Well, how many emails are you sending? And he goes, I send like 1 to 2 a month, maybe like one a month. I don't, and I go, let's send 2 weekly, 3 weekly, 4 weekly. And he's like, what? I don't want to bug him. He's like, I just got to 100K. I was like, who cares about the number and that going up? What you need to worry about is the overall revenue growth and the value and the products you're sending to these people. It's like it's not just a number you look at to grow. Like, no matter how big your email list is, the value comes from how many people are clicking through and buying from there.
100%.
It's
Yeah.
like, I don't want to bug them. I don't want to bug them. I'm like, bug them. I was like, they opted in to get information from you. All right. So what are you focusing on right now? Like what is like the long-term outlook? When is busy season?
Sorry, when is
Yeah, the busy season. So,
so the busy season is still coming up. It's gonna be somewhere around February, right? February and with the system that you have helped me put in place, I think we're gonna hit massive records of hopefully over 200K,
that's
you
gonna be
know?
so exciting. Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
have to do like a follow-up call then and see how it's going.
100%, yeah,
Yeah.
100%. I think we're working right now. I've hired the product manager. We're working on adding more products, right? Every 2 weeks, new product is gonna launch, right? Created a system around that. I've created a system around the creatives, system around the emails, and it's kind of looking. And I am working on the business than in the business right
Mm,
now, which is,
very
where-
important.
yeah. And
I
I think it would have never been like this if I had not worked with you genuinely from the bottom of my heart. Seriously, I say this because I did not see potential with the store. It was a one product store in the
mm,
beginning, right? And seeing that people would really pay you for as in they would pay you on upsell. Some people
mm.
would buy everything on your website, and I didn't know that. Some
Yeah,
people would spend $500 on your website, even if you're selling your main product is $20. Some people just want everything you
I
offer,
love those
right?
customers.
And yeah, who I love them as well. And I think me as a founder seeing this will make me believe, hey, there is a huge opportunity here. This is like this is your business. This is like your kid, this is something you should care about. And I'm in this position, uh thanks to you, for helping me with the systems and everything. And plan is to just grow it over time.
I love it. I love it. I think there's been so much value given here too that a lot of people can run with. If you're just starting out, thinking about starting a new store, what is like one piece of advice you'd leave them with?
If I'm starting one store is just do it and make sure that you take the right advice from the right person
Mm,
when creating your store and when
yes.
adding, right? Make sure you're looking up to the right person, a person who has a track record,
Mm,
person who's done it with so many people before. Genuinely, you'll go much faster than you trying to figure it out yourself. If
100%
you
agree.
you have someone who's done it, who's been there, if you learn from them, you will go much faster and you will save so much money than if you had to do it all yourself.
I love it. I love it. Awesome. Well, if anybody wants to reach out to you, is there a specific place you want them to go to? All
Well, my Instagram,
right.
it's SEYEDD dot HASHEMI, Saeed dot Hashimi. So they can definitely reach out to me through messages over there. And be
Boom.
more than happy to give them advice and refer them to you for sure. They have to invest in you. Missing out.
There we
They're really
go.
missing out now. But
Awesome.
yeah.
Well, thank you